everybody seems to be talking about Civil War. I mean, I see it online, everywhere I look, even like the barber shop or even in the grocery store, I overhear conversations about it. But you know what you never hear and what no one ever seems to ask? What happens afterwards, after the Civil War is over? Because people, this isn't a movie where one side wins and everybody puts down their guns or arms and just goes back to work like nothing ever happened. That doesn't happen, people. In reality, both sides lose. And the only real winners that I can see would be the elites or the ruling class or Russia and China, maybe. They probably come in and buy this place, man, for pennies on the dollar, piece by piece. And so now look forward. Jobs are gone. The lifestyle that we went to war over is gone forever. And the security that we enjoy in this country is gone. We get to live in a place, man, where there's not weekly terrorist bombings or long food lines or rolling blackouts in the power grid. But people, trust me when I tell you, that kind of stability is rare. After a real civil war, that's all gone. Oh, and the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, right? History shows that dictators don't usually let people keep their guns. They don't let them keep their guns because they're harder to control. I mean, you can use one as long as you're useful to that regime, but once you step out of line, they're going to take your gun. Oh, and people love to say it because I hear it coming. Over my dead body. Remember one thing. You familiar with the United States military? The one that topples governments and regimes overseas? Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about them. Best equipped, best trained, most well-funded military, most effective that has ever existed on the face of this earth. Not just in this time period, any time period. That military. That's who you'd be up against. And guess what? They're trained and battle hard. And I think most of you ex-soldiers, Marine, Army, military, you know that. These aren't some weekend militiamen or some 55-year-old, 100-pound overweight father out in the woods plinking with some fucking AR-15. These are the real fucking deal. And if you believe that you're ready to go to war with them, you're not. Most of these guys out here talking about going to war, they couldn't walk a fucking mile if they had to, yet alone go to war with some fucking 21-year-old battle-hardened fucking soldier. Not to mention technology. All you gotta do is look at Russia and Ukraine. Drones, everything that they have available will be used against you. And then there's this fantasy. After the Civil War, one side's going to just step in and just pillage and just take all the spoils and get all the good shit and keep it for themselves. Newsflash. That's happening right now, people. Our government is already doing that. There's a mad fucking grab for cash and they're filling their fucking pockets as fast as possible because they know something is coming that we don't know. We're so busy hating each other that we don't even see what's happening. We're blinded by hate, so to speak. China and Russia already owe massive chunks of our debt, right? Our trading partners have abandoned us because of this tariff shit, and they're not coming back. China, who was our biggest trading partner, has gone to Brazil. I was watching a thing about that, and they're not coming back. Our allies don't trust us anymore, so we're kind of isolated. You want to see what isolation looks like? You want to see what a country first looks like? Look at Cuba. Look at how Cuba looks. They're driving around in fucking cars from the 1950s, and their economy's in the shitter. It's been in the shitter. That's what we're going to look like. I don't know, people. In manufacturing, we keep getting that carrot dangled in front of us. Like, manufacturing is not coming back, people. I'm sorry to bust that bubble. It's not. No one can bring it back. I don't care. You can use the whole might of the United States government. It's not coming back unless you guys are willing to work for fucking $2 an hour. We can't compete on a global stage as far as manpower. We have to pay workers so much. We have unions. You have to pay workers so much. You You have EPA regulations. You have a bunch of red tape, which protects the worker, honestly. And even the jobs that are here still, that are in manufacturing, automation is cutting into those. I went to a car manufacturer a few weeks ago to do an inspection, and I was amazed. I was amazed at the amount of automation that they had installed and were planning to install more. But unfortunately, politicians keep dangling that fucking carrot in front of us, the fantasy of going back in time. Time doesn't go backwards. Time goes forward. Back to the 50s and some golden era of America. That's just bait, people. That's the same bait that they've been dangling. They're going to continue to dangle it as long as we fall for it. Time does not go backwards. It goes forwards. And know, too, that politicians don't do shit that doesn't benefit them. Here's my take on living in the past. I understand people want to protect their lifestyle. I get it. You've worked hard 20, 30 years. You deserve to be respected. You deserve a certain amount of decorum and to be able to live a certain way. I get that. Unfortunately, technology doesn't give a fuck about us. It doesn't. And corporations, they don't give a fuck about us. They care about profits. And if getting rid of us, because they have to pay us X amount of money because we've been there 20, 30 years, and replacing us with a fucking machine or AI or some other type of automation, they're going to do that. It makes great sense from a business standpoint, but from a human standpoint, it sucks ass. You know, another thing that I want to know, and I've fallen for this, how do we fool ourselves into believing that billionaires care anything about the working man? And when have they ever? I mean, they don't know anything about our lives. They've never lived our lives. They've never walked a fucking day in our shoes. We're talking about men who have never shoveled snow. They've never cut grass. They've never done anything. They've never worried about being late on a mortgage payment or little Johnny's college tuition at state college. They don't know anything about that. They don't know the struggles that we face. They don't know what it's like to go to the fucking doctors. And even with insurance, 2 weeks later, you get a fucking $23,000 medical bill. They don't worry about that kind of shit. So how do you think that they're going to somehow relate to us losing our jobs when losing our jobs directly benefits the companies that they've invested in? It ups their production, ups their output, ups their profit, which ups the amount of money their stock is worth. You see, they don't care. Every fucking election, same promises. I don't care what side you're on. We're going to get in office and we're going to do this and we're going to change this and we're going to make your life so much better. And what happens? Be honest. What happens afterward? Not a fucking thing changes. And what do? When nothing changes, we get angrier and angrier and angrier and we point at each other. When I don't have any control over it, you don't have any control over it, they have control over it, but we never point at them. Why is that? Divide and conquer. One of the oldest tenets of war. You keep two sides at each other so they don't look where the real problem is. See, it's not left versus right, people, and it shouldn't be. Power versus the people. And power knows that if we ever wake up and stand up and get together collectively, oh, they're fucking finished. We could make the system do exactly what we want it to do. But back to the whole war thing. A lot of people like to think that they're ready for war, but they're not. And the ones who are, the military and the mercenaries, they won't be fighting for us or with us. They're going to be fighting for the rich. The rich are the ones who have the money to pay their salaries. And they're going to need their salaries in an economy that's not going to be functioning. They're not going to have a choice. So while we're out there bleeding and our kids are dying and all that, the wealthy are going to be hidden in their fucking $1 million bunkers or in a fucking villa in the south of France somewhere drinking Mai Tais and looking at their stock prices rise. We're going to be bleeding and dying and losing our way of life forever. I don't know, people. Let's just learn who our real enemy is. Let's stop blaming neighbors because neighbors are not your enemy. They're living the same struggle that you are. Stop buying into the bullshit. The enemy is not either side. The enemy is above us. That's the one that's setting both sides on each other, you know? Answer this for me. How's a politician walking in office, a senator or governor, whatever, and they're making whatever they make, $100,000, $200,000 a year. Then 4 or 5 years later, they're worth $30, $40 million. You ever stop to question that? Think on that. Get back with me. Know this too, people. Rich people and politicians, they don't fight wars. They start them, but they don't fight them. They send our kids, yours and mine, or us in this instance, just to fight those wars. So civil war benefits us nothing because we're getting nothing out of it. The very thing that you're fighting to protect, you lose. It's a lose-lose for us. It's a win-win for them. So ask yourself, if we lose and they benefit, what do they get? How does it help them? I mean, stop and think analytically for yourself. Stop taking information from the internet and think for yourself. So people, we reach a choice. We can go down one path. We can fuck our whole system up, bloodshed and ruination and destruction of our lifestyle like we know it, because things don't go back. Or a future where we finally get what we want collectively as a group. We want better wages. We want better benefits. We want more. We want certain things, and we can get that. We can make the system function like it's supposed to, but we have to do it collectively. We can't do it split. Divide and conquer. Divided we stand up. How's it go? Together we stand, divided we conquer, something like that. But they know this. We need to aim our focus where it should be, people, and that's at the people at the top. Think of it as a triangle. There's a lot of room at the bottom. That's where we are. There's not much room at the top. That's why a certain percentage, a very small percentage, own most of the wealth in this country. There should be a redistribution of that wealth, if you ask me. And if we were to work collectively, we could force them to start to shake some of that wealth back down to us. How are companies making record profits every fucking year, yet our paychecks don't reflect that? But we're the one doing the work to make these companies make this money. Make that make sense to me. I don't know. We need to finally put our aim where it needs to be, and that's not on each other, people. We are not enemies. We can agree to disagree. And finally aim it where it needs to be and hold those fuckers accountable, make them do what they're supposed to do. But at any rate, you got any thoughts, comments on this subject, please drop them down below. Let's talk about it. This is something that bothers me. And I know we're getting to a point because I see the temperatures online slowly being ratcheted up. And we're all falling for it. We're falling for it. I don't know. We're in a kind of a tizzy here, people. But at any rate, I'm take care of yourself and each other. People, you've got to start to think for ourselves instead of being controlled. Misinformation on both sides is killing us. It's killing us. But at any rate, I'll catch you guys in the next one.